Welcome back, episode 2 of The Hunting Show. Last week we covered the 1080 debate, or we didn't quite cover the 1080 debate. According to some of you, we were biased or one-sided. Well, to be honest, we probably were. The person we were interviewing was certainly coming from one side of the fence. And no, we didn't have someone from the Department of Conservation able to rebut that, and maybe hopefully soon we will, and I do put that call out today. If someone from the Department of Conservation would like to come on the show and rebut the claims made by Clyde Graff last week, I'd be quite happy to interview them as well. Now they also said, or you guys, or a few of you guys also said, that I was a little bit biased. Probably the only thing I said that was biased in the show, or I believe the only thing I said that was biased in the show, was the ending, when I said that I hope his cause does gain some more momentum, or words to that effect. And I do really hope his cause gains some momentum. It's great to see both sides of the debate equally challenged out there. As a means of balancing out last week's interview, I'm going to read some of the claims, or some of the claims that Doc is rejecting about 1080, and I'm not going to go into this too much for this show. The Department of Conservation says it is concerned by unsubstantiated claims from a freshwater fishing lobby group that anglers are at risk from 1080 poisoning. The Federation of Freshwater Anglers yesterday released a media statement warning anglers not to eat trout and eels because of the risk of 1080 poison to the fish. Well, Doc certainly rebutted that. Department of Conservation Deputy Director Kevin O'Connell says the environmental impacts of 1080 have been widely researched, and the group's claims run completely counter to the accepted scientific evidence. So there you go. Doc are saying they have done some scientific evidence. I've read up a little bit about some of the evidence they claim to have, and you can too. It's all widely publicised on the Doc website and on another website, 1080facts.co.nz. I think that's the website anyway. That they will rebut a lot of the claims. Research it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take Doc's word for it. Don't take Clyde Graff's word for it. There's a lot of information out there, and I'm still a little bit dubious to who's putting that information out and what the motives are behind that. Like Clyde Graff pointed out, if the government owns the factories that produce 1080, can they ever have a truly unbiased opinion on what 1080's effects are on the environment and whether there is a viable alternative? And I do personally think a viable alternative needs to be sought and implemented, and at least experimented on. Small-scale experimenting, other ways of doing this. And I still stand by the opinion that fur trappers aren't going to kill off absolutely everything, because if they do, they're jeopardising their own income and their own industry. On the 21st of March, the Greater Wellington Regional Council began consulting neighbouring landowners and recreational user groups about the proposed possum operation planned for July 2014. The proposed operation aims to reduce increasing possum numbers over 10,000 hectares in the Kaikoui Regional Backcountry and the Hutt River catchment. If you'd like to have your say on this, and I encourage you to do this, whether it's positive or negative, let your thoughts be heard, check out www.gw.govt.nz/Kaikoui for more information on this operation. Also, if you want to have a look, check out that website I told you before, www.1080facts.co.nz. The topic of today's show is GPS tracking collars on hunting dogs. We've all known there's been a bit of controversy around these. People have bought them in, they've had them confiscated. They're not sure which ones are legal and which ones are not. So I've got Chris Brennan on the phone with me. Chris is from Radio Spectrum Management. How are you, Chris?
Hello, Stephen. I'm good, thank you.
Now, when we first spoke a couple of weeks ago about this topic, you were very, very gracious in your reply, so let's get on with it. A lot of listeners, first of all, don't know who Radio Spectrum Management is, so can you tell us who they are and what they do?
Sure. Every administration has a responsibility for spectrum management in their country, and Radio Spectrum Management is the branch of the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment which fills that role in New Zealand. We look after allocation of frequencies, management of frequencies, and the interference that can result in radio communication services to try and make sure that everybody gets the best possible use out of these systems.
So that's everything from when your TV's getting interfered with by the neighbour's water pump through to things like we're talking about today, radio tracking collars interfering with other radio services. Is that correct?
Yes, everything that uses wireless in New Zealand is part and parcel of the spectrum management that we're responsible for.
Okay, so first of all, You know these tracking collars are coming in, and we've had a lot of feedback from our listeners wanting to know various versions of the same questions. But one of the ones that comes up a lot is, what are the possible fines or consequences of being caught with one of the collars that they're bringing in illegally?
Right. We have a number of standard fines which are part of our legislation, and these dog tracking collars are receiving exactly the same penalties as other unlicensed radio communication use. If we prosecute and it goes to the court and the judge convicts somebody of an offence against the Radio Communications Act using a radio transmitter without a licence, an individual could end up with a maximum fine of $30,000. A company responsible for the same offence could end up with a fine of $200,000. We also have a lesser penalty of what's called an infringement notice, same as the speeding tickets you get from the police for going too fast or parking offence notices. And the maximum penalty, well, the only penalty under those, it's specified in our regulations. For an individual, it's $250. For a company, it's $1,250.
Probably the next most important question is, why are these collars illegal in the first place?
Right. The licensing system, which is used internationally, and New Zealand is a signatory to the International Telecommunications Union, uses separation of frequencies, and separation by either frequency, by geographical location, or by time, to manage the risk of interference. So the problem in New Zealand is that the frequencies that America has decided in the last few years to apply for these collars, we've used for 20 or 30 years for land mobile services for people who need radio communications to talk for their business and for their safety.
Okay, so going forward from that, what does it do? If someone's got an illegal collar that they're running around the bush with, what are they actually interfering with?
Right. The radio telephone services that are licensed on the frequencies these collars affect are used typically in rural settings, and they're used by organisations such as forestry companies, transport companies. They're used by individuals in farms. They're used by electricity networks, and in fact Kiwi Rail has one of the biggest licensing arrangements for frequencies in this area, with roughly 100 stations licensed throughout New Zealand. So they're used for all sorts of purposes, but primarily to organise people's operational details day to day, and in particular concern for us in areas where cell phone communications might be poor or non-existent. People expect to be able to use them to yell for help. Right.
There's been actually widespread rumours, and in fact I'd heard this as well, that they interfere with the locator beacons. Is that true?
No, with no known instances of that, and it's unlikely from the frequencies that locator beacons work on that they would be affected.
Well, that's good to know. Now, pig hunting dogs, as you know, cost thousands and thousands of dollars. Wouldn't it just be easier to let these collars in so people don't lose their $1,000 dogs? And it might be easier, but is it economically viable to say, oh, well, these things are great, they stop people losing thousands of dollars worth of dogs, and there's safety concerns for Kiwis and all sorts of things, and we'll move these businesses along to another frequency?
I appreciate the perspective that suggests that as an easy answer. It would be easy for a while until the organisations who rely on the licensed frequencies start running into problems, and right. We already have issues with them in different parts of the country. What we've got are hundreds of licences out there involving thousands of pieces of radio communications equipment. These are handheld radios, mobile radios in vehicles, base stations, and it would cost literally millions of dollars and probably take some years to actually convert all of these sets that are on the frequencies affected by these collars, get them off that frequency or those frequencies, because there are a dozen or so frequencies affected, and to make that space available for the dog collars. That doesn't weigh up particularly well economically to New Zealand's benefit.
Is there anything, say, the Pig Hunters Association or the New Zealand Deerstalkers Association could do, maybe pay towards having these frequencies moved, or, again, is it just not going to end up viable for them?
Unless they've got sources of revenue that I'm not aware of, it's unlikely to be viable. We've certainly had the Pig Hunters Association in communication with us, and a number of avenues have been looked at. We can make frequencies available for legal dog collar tracking systems,
Yep.
and we've offered to do that. Manufacturers overseas have looked at making a New Zealand product available and have done so.
Mm-hmm.
Pig Hunters Association themselves have been looking at importing and making available a product. We're also aware of people who've devised ways of modifying the equipment, and just recently we've had Garmin, the US manufacturer who started this,
Mm-hmm.
approach us with the idea that they will have on the market in the near future a suitable New Zealand model.
So this issue that's around now, in a few months' time or maybe a year's time, may actually be completely gone.
Well, we already know that there is legal equipment available to people at roughly the same cost as the Garmin equipment.
Yep.
And that's available now. People's perceptions that the Garmin equipment works best is probably the thing that's still keeping people interested in it. But certainly, looking forward another year, I would expect that we're not going to have the same issues. We're not going to have people focused on the particular equipment that's causing the risk, and we'll go back to having a system that's safe for the licensed users.
Seeing these collars on TV shows, a lot of the time we know that they're illegal ones because we can spot them a mile off. Is that just because they're clearly flouting the law, or is it that they've somehow modified them or gone ahead, or you just don't know?
We suspect it's because the television companies who've actually prepared those shows have not been aware of the legality issues, and we have had conversations with a number of television companies, television shows, to point out the issues and risks with showing illegal equipment in use.
Are there any genuine safety concerns with using these illegal collars? Is it just that there's a bunch of truckies that aren't going to be able to talk to each other anymore?
No, the complaints that we have received are legitimate complaints. You have to put yourself in the perspective of somebody sitting in a room or an office or a truck who has the radio telephone going in the background for any calls coming in to them that involves either operational or safety issues, and their reaction to annoying noises. And I can assure you that the beep, beep, beep of these tracking collars is something that very quickly gets on your wick if it's in the background all the time.
Oh, I can imagine.
And the risk is that those people turn the volume down just to stop being annoyed, and then they miss calls. And the complaints we've had are from companies who are concerned about that.
So I think you've pointed this out already, but let's clarify this. Whose responsibility is it to produce and sell legal collars?
Okay. It's an interesting twist on the question, in that no legislation we have makes a requirement that legal collars be available. What we have are legal restrictions that say illegal collars must not be available, must not be supplied, and must not be used. So really anybody who's looking to put a collar on the market should be taking the care and responsibility themselves to make sure it's on a frequency and of a standard that doesn't cause risks.
There's this school of thought out there, and I heard it with some of the feedback we got when we proposed this topic for today's show, that all the government is doing, and I suppose everyone does that, points to the government, but all the government's doing is trying to get extra money or extra revenue by holding on to the frequencies so that someone's going to have to buy them. Is that the case?
No, it's certainly not the case. Most devices that fit in this sort of area of general benefit to people are covered by what we call general user licenses. There is absolutely no license fee for those, but there is a requirement that the frequencies and the power levels and the usage that's specified in that license actually be complied with. So cordless phones, baby monitors, remote controls for your car door, all those things that have universal benefit are covered by general user licenses, and the legal dog tracking collar that I'm aware of also fits in one of the frequencies that gets absolutely no license revenue for us, and it's something that we still have to look after as far as spectrum management goes, but we do so as a general benefit to the New Zealand community.
One of the other emails I got only today actually said that they're never going to catch me if I use it out in the middle of the bush. Is that the case? I'm sure it's been policed, is it?
That is a possibility. It depends where they go, how often they go, but they do need to be aware that there's not just our radio inspectors team who are interested in people doing the wrong things in the wrong places, and we have had prosecutions result from security firms and police catching people poaching, trespassing, hunting without a permit, where these dog tracking collars, the prohibited ones, have been found to be in their possession and use, and people have been caught that way.
Right, so you may be doing something else, someone comes, a dock ranger finds you or wants to check your hunting permit, and they happen to see it, and you're going to get caught that way as well.
Exactly right.
If people want more information on legal collars and where to get them, where could they go? Is there any information out there that's credible?
Yes, there certainly is. If you do a quick Google search on legal dog tracking NZ, you'll find a number of links to organisations that sell a New Zealand approved and New Zealand legal sport dog tracking collar.
And I'll also put that link for the listeners in the information about the show. So if you have a look below the window where the show has been listened to, or in the comments section, just above there you'll see a link to the website just talked about as well. I suppose, now if someone wants to contact Radio Spectrum Management directly, you've got a website and a free phone number?
We do. Our website is www.rsm.govt.nz, and our free phone number is 0508 RSM Info. That's RSM INFO. The numerical, it's 0508 776 463. Contact team is available between 8:30 and 5 p.m. and they're happy to put us through to anybody who's got inquiries.
Again, thank you very much, Chris, for coming on the show. It was definitely well worth talking to you and getting rid of some of those myths and establishing some facts about GPS tracking collars and their use in New Zealand.
Thanks for the opportunity, Stephen.
If you've got any feedback on this topic, or there's another topic you'd like us to have on the show, please find us on Facebook. Most of you have found us through our Facebook page, or email me info@thehuntingshow.co.nz. I'd be interested to know what you'd like us to talk about. Next week on the show, we have a butcher. We have a game butcher that's going to talk to you about how to prepare the meat to take it into them, how to keep your meat safe, so it's safe to eat for your family, and a few other things as well. That's next week on the show. Thank you very much for listening. This was episode 2 of The Hunting Show.
Broadcasting from an undisclosed location, from a secret hunting spot known only to him, and the guy who told him about it, and possibly the guy who told the guy who told him. It's a show all about hunting in New Zealand and around the globe. This is The Hunting Show. Find The Hunting Show on Facebook and Twitter for up-to-date information on upcoming shows and topics.